Hello everyone, welcome back to the Traxion YouTube channel and welcome to week 11 of our Global Mazda MX-5 Cup track guide series. Now week 11 brings us back to Oran Park, but Oran Park South. Very similar to the original layout, however, turn number 1 is a bit of a nightmare. Now if you followed my track guides before, you'll know that they are not a place for hot laps. It's a slow, methodical approach to learn the circuit where we talk about my braking markers, my reference points and the little quirks that each circuit has. So as usual, I will show you a flying lap in full and then we'll jump in the car, do a few laps and show you those braking markers and reference points in action. Then we'll talk about pit entry, pit exit and where I think you might be able to overtake this week at Oran Park. Spoiler, it's not going to be easy. So enough talking, let's get on track. So here we are then on the main straight here at Oran Park South. So as usual, we've set the sim time to match the official series. So it's February the 26th and the time in the sim is 2:35 p.m. We're also using the iRacing baseline setup, which is what is used in the official series. And track temperature right now is 47 degrees Celsius, exactly the same as it was in the flying lap that you've just seen. Now, you may think Oran Park's Oran Park, and it is. Turn 1 can make or break your lap, and we have made a slight gear selection adjustment to the final turn. We're going to be going down to first gear instead of holding second. Now, approaching turn 1, we're going to be over to the right-hand side. And now what I've found in the many laps I've done practicing turn 1 is it's really, really easy to get a little bit greedy. Although, if you do, you can turn 1 into a double apex, drop deep, and then cut it back for the second apex. It's really, really, really important that you either keep a tight line or treat it as a double apex, because if you don't, the car runs wide and your approach to turn number 2 is compromised. So there's a nice braking marker for turn number 1, and it's the green wall on the right-hand side. So we're going to be braking just at the green wall or just before. I'm braking to about 80% and we're going to turn in for the first part of this. So brake at 80%, really hard, heavy braking, and then just bleed off the brakes and then hold a nice tight line. Now, it's really important that we get on the gas early here. Now, if you're offline here and you're not aiming to get back for the second apex, if you get on the gas early, it just pushes the car wide. So if you've got a nice tight line like this, you can get on the gas really early and hold a nice tight line, because when we come out of turn number 1, we need the car over to the left-hand side for turn number 2. So up to second gear, and then left tyre's on the curb. And what I like to do is I like to lift for turn number 2. And just as I've lifted, flick it up into third gear. And that just prevents a little bit of wheel spin on exit. We're going to take quite a bit of curb on the right-hand side. And then again, use the curb on the left-hand side, then move the car over to the right. Now, I start braking here just before the curb or just at the curb on the right-hand side. And we're braking maybe to about 30% and then trail braking to the apex. And we're going to apex turn number 4 a bit earlier than you would think. We're going to take quite a bit of this inside curb and then in third gear and then get on the gas and use this runoff on the exit. Then we need the car back over to the left because we want to open up turn number 5 and then we're going to cut turn number 6. And then the last turn where I mentioned that there's a change in the gear selection, we're going down to first gear. Braking points exactly the same as it was in the original track guide, which is the dirt on the road there in front of us. but we're going to be going down to first gear. Now, a couple of things you need to bear in mind. So once we've gone down to first gear, nice tight line. We want the left tyre, the left front tyre, almost over the curb to the left-hand side of the curb. But you've got to be careful going too far over there because the car can lose traction and you ruin your momentum. But if you get it right, you can accelerate in first gear, hold it all the way out towards the wall, and then up to second gear. Right, so start picking up the pace a little bit now. So turn number 1, we're looking for the green wall on the right hand side as our braking marker, and we're going to be going all the way down to first gear. So we're going to be braking quite hard, nice tight line. We're going to be thinking about a nice tight line around here. Then when you're here, you can get on the gas up to second, and then we're going to go up to third as we lift, take a big chunk of this curb on the right, and then again move the car over to the right, start the curb. We're going to brake, and we're going to apex early and get on the gas just before the apex and use this runoff on exit. We're going to cut turn number 6 and then looking for the dirt. So we're going to be braking hard, down to second, down to first, nice and tight, then hold the red line all the way out to the wall. And that's a lap. Really, really short here at Oran Park South. So looking for the green wall. But braking a little bit earlier is better than braking too late, because we need this line round here to be really tight. Because if you do, you can get on the gas nice and early. We're going to turn in, and then we're going to lift up to third. Take a big chunk of this curb. Again, just let the car do its thing through here. So nice and smooth through here. Before the apex, get on the accelerator and use this runoff on exit. Again, try and cut turn number 6. It's tricky. And braking at the dirt. Down to second, down to first. Nice and tight. Then up to second. There we go. We'll do one more lap. I'll try and show you a different approach to turn number 1, where you're going to drop it deep and cut it back for a double apex. So if you do go in here a little bit too hot, which we will do here now, you can cut it back for a second apex. A little bit slower, but you still got your car on the left hand side to open up this right there. Nice and early apex here, and get on the gas. Use all of this runoff on the exit. So that was probably about half a second slower than a tight line, but that's an alternative if you do go in there a little bit too hot. There we go. Steady laps around Oran Park South there. The first one was a 46.4, and that was a 46.8. So we lost about 4/10 going into turn 1 a little bit too hot. So braking earlier is much, much better than braking later. Right, let's talk about pit entry, a new pit exit, and where I think you might be able to overtake. That's going to be a struggle. So pit entry at Oran Park, it's not too bad in the Mazda, as I mentioned in the track guide, because the car's not as wide. So we're going to be approaching it as usual. The only thing that you need to bear in mind is if there's a car on your outside, you need to make sure that when you exit the final turn, your car is positioned over to the right, just to make sure you can get into the pits. So if there is somebody behind you, and you're not really going to be battling if there's somebody behind you and you're going to be pitting, so just give them the inside line. It's not worth the hassle trying to fight for that. Here's pit entry. The yellow cone is just there, just next to the yellow bollard there on the left hand side. So pit limits are on at that point, 50 kilometers an hour, and you're in the pits. Pretty straightforward. Pit exit in this layout is a little bit better, because pit exit here doesn't put you right on the racing line. So there's the green cone. We can release the limiter, and then we're going to be braking hard, and this is the pit exit here. We're going to run up this little access road here, so you can be flat out round here. But when you exit pit lane here, on our left hand side is the exit of turn number 1. So just keep an eye on your relative. The guys coming out of turn number 1 are probably going to be over to the left hand side to open up turn number 2. So just bear that in mind. Keep an eye on your relative and just slot back into traffic when you can. Right, let's have a think about where we can overtake. It's really, really not going to be easy this week. Okay, overtaking. This is going to be a really difficult week for overtaking, just because the lap is so short. Now, we're going to presume that people are going to defend into turn number 1. If not, that's going to be your preferred way to overtake, is down the inside into turn number 1. Because if you've got the inside line turn number 1, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to be able to hold an outside line. However, if you can get somebody to defend into turn number 1, you're going to take it as usual, but you're going to treat it as a double apex. So we're going to go in there a little bit hot. Maybe not as wide as I went in the lap that we've just seen, but we're going to think about getting a really good exit here and trying to get on the left-hand side of them around turn number 2, presuming they're going to defend again going into turn number 2. I think we're more likely to hold an outside line around turn number 2 than we are turn number 1. And if we do, then we've got a series of left-hand bends coming up, and we should be able to get the overtake done either in turn number 3 or turn number 4. That's my advice. That's where I'll be looking to overtake. And again, not really going to get anything done through here. Maybe a lunge into the final turn if you get a really good exit or a really good run through here. But if they're going to be defending, then the only thing you can do really is think about your exit out of the final turn and try and get a really good exit and try and get up the inside if you can. But the chances are people are going to defend into turn number 1. So that would be my advice. If they are defending into turn number 1, try and treat turn 1 as a double apex. Think about the exit. Try and get alongside them into turn number 2. If you can get on the right-hand side into turn number 2, get your nose in front, then you might get the overtake done there. But failing that, around the outside turn number 2 and overtake them either in turn 3 or turn 4. But like I said, this week is going to be really, really difficult. I think we're going to be reliant on people making mistakes. So there we go. That's week 11 done here at Oran Park South. Please let me know down below in the comments how you get on. What were your times before the guide and what were your times after? Did I help? Did I cover everything that you wanted to be covered in a track guide? Next week, we go to Laguna Seca. And this is a bit of a favourite of mine because this is where I did my first ever race on iRacing, and it was in the Global Mazda MX-5 Cup. As always, thank you for watching. Good luck this week. Keep it pinned.